Hello everyone, today I am going to explain the class ninth chapter number 1 of history, that is the French Revolution. So in 1774, a king named Louis XVI of the Bourbon family take up the throne of the France. So when Louis XVI took the throne of the France, he found the empty treasury. What does this mean? This means that the empty treasury means that the economic condition of France was very poor, and there were several reasons for that. One reason was long years of wars which France fought against its enemies, and the wars continued for long years. Now how come wars are related to the economic conditions? Wars are related as when a country fights wars against its enemy, it needs a lot of resources and money. Resources and money for what? For the maintenance of its soldiers. For the It had to feed its soldiers, it had to make shelter for its soldiers, it had to supply water to the soldiers, and etc etc. So it needs to expense a lot of money and resources on its soldiers during a war. So at that time, at the time of Louis, just before the time of Louis XVI, France fought long years of wars, and due to which the economic condition was getting poorer, was getting worse due to the long years of wars. This was one reason for the empty treasury. The second reason was Louis XVI made expenses on the maintenance of a palace in Versailles. So in Versailles, Louis XVI had a very big and a very high class palace. So he expanded, or he gave a lot of money for the maintenance of that palace. So this was also a reason for the empty treasury. The now Another reason was under Louis XVI, France held 13 American colonies for their independence from the common enemy, that is Britain. So at the time of Louis XVI, 13 American colonies got it independence from Britain by the leverage of Louis XVI and Louis XVI of France. So after helping 13 American colonies, you can imagine that how at what rate the economic condition of France got down. It itself fought long years of wars, and after that it helped 13 American colonies. So for these three reasons, because of these three reasons, the financial condition of France got worse under Louis XVI due to the wars only. There was one reason of this palace maintenance also, but the main reason was the wars, the long years of wars which France fought, and the helping of these 13 American colonies. Now, the money lenders which gave loan to the state here means the government of France. So, the lenders who gave loan to the government of France increased the interest rate to 10%. And to overcome this financial condition, the government of France, which is the state is referred here as the government of France, increased taxes on the local people. Now, in the 18th century, the French society was divided into three estates: first estate, second estate, and third estate. First estate consists of clergymen. Clergymen are the priests in the church. And the second estate consists of nobility. Nobility means the middle class people. And the third estate consists of big businessmen, peasants, landless laborers, and servants. And at that time, peasants made up 90% of the population of France. 90%. Okay. And small number of peasants had land. Only a very small number of peasants had land, and rest of the peasants do not have land. They were landless. And 60% of land was owned by nobles. Nobles are the people who come under the second estate. and the churches and richer member. So nobles, churches, and richer member uh, make up 60% of land, and rest was with the peasants and the businessmen. And so 60% was with nobles, churches, and richer members. And the main thing is small number of peasants had land, a very small number. Rest of the peasants were landless. Now, there were several privileges which were enjoyed by the first estate. Estate means the clergymen, the priests in the church. There were three privileges, mainly three privileges which were enjoyed by the clergymen. First was they did not have to pay any taxes. They did not pay any type of tax. This was a big privilege which was enjoyed by the first estate. Second was the first estate took the feudal dues from the peasants. They extracted feudal dues from the peasants. What was feudal dues? Feudal dues were a compulsory amount which the peasants had to give to the first estate or the clergyman. It was a compulsory amount which they had to give every after every 1 month, or every whatever the time duration was, that was at that time. So it was a fixed amount which peasants had to give to the clergymen, and they also have to work in the house and fields of nobles, and serve in the army and participate in building roads. So all the work and the money, the expenses was made by the peasants and the people of the third state, and in the third state mainly by the servants and laborers and peasants. Yeah. So church also extracted taxes. First, they did not pay any taxes. On that, they extracted taxes. There were two taxes which were extracted by the church. First was called tithis, and second was called talis. So these were the two taxes which were extracted by the church. The member of the third state had to give these taxes to the church. What were they? Tithis and talis, and also many taxes which were imposed on salt or tobacco. The next topic is the struggle to survive. Now, in 1715, the population of France was 23 million, but it rose to 28 million in 1789. And this rapid increase in population uh, led to the greater demand and a rapid increase in demand for food grains, and production did not keep pace with the demand. So the demand was high, but the production was not high. The production was fixed, like the production was of 10 kg, but the demand was of 15 kg. So the production did not keep pace with the demand. And at that time bread was the favorite or the common food which was consumed by the people of France, or maybe at current time also. But the prices of bread rose rapidly. It rose rapidly at that time, and workers were employed as laborers, but wages were not given on time. Workers were giving their labor to the shopkeeper or at other places. They were giving their labor, but they were not getting back the wages. They were not getting back the wages on time. The time which was fixed, like on the day one of the first month they will get their wages, but it was not like that. They were getting in the middle of the month, and sometimes their wages were less. Like a worker has a wage of 10,000, but he was getting 8,000 or 7,000. So wages were not given on time, and sometimes the wages were given less to the workers and the laborers. So things become worse whenever drought or hail reduce the harvest. When the demand increased, the when the demand increased of food grains, the production did not keep pace. The production was very low, and whenever a drought or hail come, it reduced more, and this led to subsistence crisis. The production was already low due to the increased demand of food grains. The production was already low due to the increased demand of food grains, and whenever a drought or hail come, it further the amount of production further decreased, and which led to the subsistence crisis. The next topic we have is the growing middle class. Now, the peasants and workers were fed up. They started revolts against the increasing taxes and food scarcity, but they lacked means and programs to carry out full scale measures. They started revolts, but they did not have a proper planning and a proper system to carry out the revolts. The third state also included lawyers or administrative officials. So these were the educated people. These people knew that the third state is a lower state, and they are suffering from uh, the lackness and the thing which they did not have to pay taxes and all. They have to pay taxes and all. The first state is not paying taxes, and only the third state to pay taxes. So these lawyers and administrative officials were the educated people. So to bring equality in society, philosophers such as John Locke and Jean Jacques Rousseau, so these were the philosophers who came up to bring equality in the society of France. In the book Two Treatises of Government, Locke opposed monarchy. So, in Locke, the philosopher Locke wrote a book, Two Treatises of Government, in which he opposed and wrote the disadvantages of monarchy, which was there in France at that time, to motivate people and to give people an idea that the monarchy is not good for the people. They need a democratic government. And Montesquieu, through his book The Spirit of Laws, gave the idea of division of power of government into legislative, executive, and judicial. So the Montesquieu and Locke gave an idea to the people, gave a hint to the people that this the type of government, monarch type of government, is not good for them. They should do revolts and abolish the monarchy in France. The ideas of these philosophers were discussed intensely in saloons and in coffee shops. The ideas were spread among the people through books and newspapers, and after this the people were, and slowly gradually they were getting that monarchy is not good for them, and they need to do revolts, and they need to oppose this monarchy for their welfare and for their comfort. Thank you.